It is 1 a.m. You have work tomorrow. You told yourself 10 minutes ago that you were going to sleep. And you are still scrolling. Not because you're enjoying it. Not because anything interesting is happening. You've seen the same format of post 17 times. You've watched 2 videos you didn't want to watch. And read a comments section that made you feel worse. About at least 3 different things. And you are still scrolling. At some point you put the phone down. You stare at the ceiling. You pick the phone back up. If someone asked you why, you wouldn't have an answer. You just couldn't stop. Here is what I want to tell you. This is not a willpower problem. This is not weakness. This is not a character flaw. There is a specific mechanism in your brain, doing exactly what it was designed to do, in an environment it was never designed for. And once you understand the mechanism, you'll never look at your own scrolling the same way again. First, a definition worth making. Doomscrolling is not just scrolling. Everyone scrolls. Doomscrolling is the specific behavior of continuing to consume negative or upsetting content even when it is making you feel worse in real time. You know it's making you feel worse. Your body knows. Something in you knows. And you continue anyway. That gap between knowing and stopping is the most important thing to understand. Most conversations about this say, just put the phone down. Set a timer. Have more discipline. And if you've tried those things, you already know they work for about 4 days. Because they're treating the behavior, not the mechanism producing it. The mechanism is older than smartphones. Older than the internet. It is wired into the oldest part of your brain. And understanding it is the only thing that actually changes your relationship with it. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons. He put them in a box with a lever. When they pressed it, they got food. Every single time. Predictable. The pigeons pressed when hungry. Then stopped. Completely in control. Then he changed one thing. The lever now gave food only sometimes. Randomly. Unpredictably. The pigeons lost their minds. They pressed the lever compulsively. Constantly. Even when they weren't hungry. Even when pressing it had just given them nothing. They couldn't stop. Psychologists call this a variable reward schedule. It is the single most effective mechanism ever discovered for producing repeated compulsive behavior. It is also the exact mechanism every social media platform is built on. You open the feed. Sometimes something is interesting. Sometimes funny. Sometimes upsetting. Sometimes nothing at all. You never know which one is coming. And your brain, ancient, pattern-seeking, reward hunting, cannot leave that lever alone. But variable reward alone doesn't explain doomscrolling specifically. Because with doomscrolling, you're scrolling through things that are genuinely upsetting. Disasters. Conflicts. Things that haven't happened to you. Things that may never happen to you. And you cannot look away. This is the second mechanism. And it is older. Your brain has a threat detection circuit running for 200,000 years. Its job, its entire purpose, is to scan the environment for potential danger. And when it finds potential danger, it does not let you look away. Because looking away from a threat in the wild could get you killed. That circuit cannot tell the difference between a lion 30 feet away and a headline about something happening 10,000 miles from you. Both register as potential threat. Keep watching. So when you are doom scrolling, you are running a 200,000-year-old survival program that was never updated for a world where threats arrive as an infinite unending feed with no resolution. The animal scanning the horizon eventually sees no lion. Safe. Relax. The doomscroller never gets that signal. Because there is always another headline. Here is the layer almost nobody talks about. Doom scrolling feels like doing something. When you scroll through concerning news, your brain registers this as vigilance, as staying informed, as preparation. It tells you, if something important happens, you'll know. You won't be caught off guard. This is not irrational. It is an extremely logical response to a world that genuinely contains large unpredictable events. If your generation grew up watching economies shift and futures change, the impulse to stay alert is not irrational. It is pattern recognition. The problem is not the impulse. The problem is that scrolling through headlines provides the sensation of vigilance without any of its actual benefits. You are not more prepared after an hour of doom scrolling. You are more depleted. But your brain logged it as useful. And so it goes back. In 2020, researchers at the University of California studied news consumption behavior during periods of uncertainty. They found that people who consumed more news did not feel more in control. They felt less in control. More informed, but less capable of acting on any of it. A separate study found that just 30 minutes of news consumption elevated measured tension in participants, regardless of whether the news was objectively bad or neutral. The content wasn't even the variable. The act of consuming an unresolvable stream of information was enough on its own. There is a point past which more information stops being useful and becomes something your brain uses to run the scanning loop on a longer cycle. You are not uninformed. You are overexposed. So, what do you actually do with this? The answer is not, never read the news. Delete social media. That ignores the mechanism entirely. The brain will find another lever. The actual shift is three things. First, give the loop a resolution. The threat detection circuit needs an ending. Not more content. An ending. When you close the app, pause for 10 seconds. Say internally, I have seen what there is to see right now. Nothing more will come from continuing. You are manually providing the signal your brain was waiting for. So, what do you actually do with this? The answer is not, never read the news. Delete social media. That ignores the mechanism entirely. The brain will find another lever. The actual shift is three things. First, give the loop a resolution. The threat detection circuit needs an ending. Not more content. An ending. When you close the app, pause for 10 seconds. Say internally, I have seen what there is to see right now. Nothing more will come from continuing. You are manually providing the signal your brain was waiting for. You already knew doom scrolling was making you feel worse. You didn't need to be told that. What you needed to know is why you couldn't stop anyway. Your brain was running a program 200,000 years in the making. In a world that gave it an infinite unresolvable feed and called it staying informed. That is not a character flaw. That is a mismatch between ancient hardware and a very new environment. The program can be interrupted. Not deleted, interrupted. And every time you close the app with intention instead of exhaustion, that is the interruption. That is where it starts to change. If this found you at 1 a.m. with your phone in your hand, you know what to do with it. See you next week.